What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening to the market thus far and what you should be watching for as time progresses, and why tomorrow is going to be a very important day as we have two major events coming out. We have the FOMC minutes in the morning, not to mention Nvidia's earnings after the market closes. So I want to break down how this could affect the markets, what are some important levels to be watching for, and what I think could end up panning out for the charts. But before I break anything down, all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit $500 into the account, you are guaranteed 20 free stocks. And deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 free stocks, and the offer ends in just a couple of days. Anyways, when looking at SPY, you guys could quite clearly see we got this nice double top like formation, got this rejection off this 503 area two times, and this time SPY has been downtrending ever since Friday of last week. Now it's been downtrending and dropping, but notice how ever since it came very close to 494, which was our very, very critical level, we saw some buyers defend it right over here and push it right back up and to get a nice close around just above 496. So it's not too bad from SPY. So with that being said, there's a very good chance you might see some buyers try to defend again, but that's not going to be the biggest factor affecting this. I think the reaction to the FOMC minutes and Nvidia are going to be two big factors as well. So I'm going to break down more details about those first before I break down the charts and what I think could happen approaching these events. Right now, when you look at the economic calendar, okay, in the morning, there's not really much going on. We have Bostic from the Fed giving a speech at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then later on at 11:30 a.m., we have the 17-week and 2-year auctions coming out, all very minor pieces of data. Then we have Bowman from the Fed giving a speech at 1 p.m., once again, very, very minor. But then we have a big piece of data coming out. We have the FOMC minutes report, and this is going to be huge. Now, what's so big about this is the FOMC minutes is going to be a report about the FOMC meeting, and it's going to give us more information about the opinions and the thoughts of the different Fed officials out there. Now, the reason why this is important is because generally, when you look at the FOMC meeting, we get one report from the Fed, then we have Jerome Powell giving his speech. But then when the minutes come out, we get more insights on what the other speakers are thinking and also what the Fed is projecting for rates. That's going to be very important. So, the reason that's important is because this will affect the way the market sees this. This is the target rate probabilities. And right now, there's a 91% chance the Fed is going to keep rates the same, and a 9% chance the Fed is going to cut once by 25 basis points. Now, if the data that comes out tomorrow shows that the Fed speakers, the Fed officials are a little bit more hawkish, this could get adjusted. This could actually cause the market to price in a little bit more of a hawkish Fed. And the reason that's important is because when the Fed keeps rates up for higher, as you know, that's more likely to cause more pain for the economy. So that's the reason why the market's going to be making moves based off what comes out. And we'll be watching for this at 2 p.m. tomorrow Eastern Standard Time. I'll be going over this as well in real time. Now, that's the first thing that's going to affect the markets. Unfortunately, I can't really predict how this is going to affect us. It depends on what happens during the report, but the market's going to make a massive move most likely. And then after that, the market will close like it normally does. And then we have something else coming out. After the market closes, we have the one and only Nvidia announcing its earnings. We have a couple more as well. In the morning, we have like Wingstop and Wix and just a few others. But for tomorrow, the most important one is Nvidia. Nvidia is a massive, massive company. It has its hands all over AI sectors. It's developing technologies all over the world, and it's working alongside many big tech companies. So with all the hype and the noise Nvidia is getting, expect high volatility. That's what Nvidia is known for. There's a very, very good chance, and this is what some analysts are expecting. They're expecting that Nvidia is going to make a 10% move at least, or if not higher than that. There have been days where this thing made 30% moves after earnings, so you have to be very careful. With Nvidia having the capabilities and the abilities to make such massive moves, you have to be careful. Nvidia could move the entire market and shift which way we end up moving. That's how impactful and massive Nvidia is. Right now, the expectations are very high for this company, but the reason that's such a high price is because it's known for meeting those expectations, if not beating them. It's very strong in terms of earnings and what it's capable of doing. So tomorrow it reports its earnings. We're going to be expecting some very, very strong numbers from them. The market cap is already at $1.8 trillion, surpassing Alphabet and Amazon, making it one of the top biggest market cap companies on the planet. Its appreciation has been parabolic, according to many analysts from Bank of America. But here are some other things to be watching for. We want to see a 240% increase in revenue to about $20.6 billion. We're also expecting more and more surges in net income, not to mention more growth in their gross margins and such. We're also expecting some very, very strong growth in their different sectors and more outputs to be coming out when it comes to other things. They also have to address a lot of concerns about their GPU sales. Especially because of what's happening with like Microsoft and the others, and other things like that. But what I basically want to say is that the majority of their earnings, in my opinion, are realistic. I think that they could meet these expectations. I really believe they can. And I think there's a very good chance Nvidia is going to beat expectations. But, there's a big but. I don't know what guidance is going to look like. I don't know what they're going to tell us about the rest of the year going into next year. I don't know that. And that's what's really, really, really tricky about this report. We need everything to be good for them, for this thing to really run in some big announcements. If they don't meet every expectation that we're expecting in terms of getting like some kind of new hype, new report, some new product or something like that, then things can still change for Nvidia. So you want to be very careful. I think they're going to beat on earnings. I really believe they will. They've been doing it historically, but I'm not sure about their guidance. They could have to adjust this depending on macroeconomic conditions. So we'll see if anything changes. We could see Nvidia dump, or we could see this thing run. It's going to affect the whole market for Thursday and Friday. Now, right now, the market was at extreme greed. Now we're currently at greed. So we're seeing a slight adjustment right now. The market's shifting right now because we're starting to see some sellers coming in. Market is cooling off a bit, approaching these big events, and we'll just have to see how they affect us. Right now, the VIX is attempting to hold above its it's very important moving average right over here, the 50 daily moving average. If it keeps pushing, this could be a bearish signal for the markets, but we will see if it could hold this level because the VIX is currently at the same resistance where it got rejected before. So we will see if the VIX rejects this time or not as it's approaching the 15s. So be very careful with the VIX. It's not officially in the clear just yet. It could still reject. So just be patient. And we'll also see what happens with these other indicators. The puts and call options are still at extreme greed. We will see if this shifts back up to fear. Wait and see how this goes. I'm just going to be patient for all these other indicators as we're still seeing lots of greed that is present. So that being said, let's let's talk about the charts and break down how this is looking. So on SPY, there are two possibilities. This is the bigger picture, okay? Number one, this could be a double top that's forming, and it's possible that SPY is about to start a downtrend, right? See how we were kind of like uptrending here? This whole thing could just be symmetrical. But the first top, the second top, and then we could end up pushing back up and start just downtrending into the 480s. That's the really bearish case. And that's going to happen if Nvidia ends up not doing well for earnings. Okay. We could see a big drop, especially if we close below 494. If that happens, a bigger drop is going to be coming all the way into the 480s. All right. Now for bullish, if we're bullish, this could be a trap. And what could happen is we could be forming a giant cup and handle. This could be a cup, okay? And then this could be like a handle where we come down like this, we kind of consolidate a bit, we hold up, then Nvidia announces its earnings. Let's just say Nvidia runs, and then SPY blasts off back up to 503 and starts breaking out. That's also a possibility. So we don't know which one it's going to be, and we have to wait for Nvidia's earnings. Now, there are people on YouTube who are saying the market's going to crash, the market's going to run, whatever. Don't believe anyone in terms of them knowing exactly what's going to happen with Nvidia because no one truly knows unless they have insider information, which is extremely unlikely. No one truly knows. So the best thing I could tell you from my experience and as a trader is to wait. Wait, be patient on a day like this. Okay? So that's what I want to warn you guys about when it comes to the reaction after Nvidia. What do I think is going to happen in the morning though? That's actually kind of different. Tomorrow morning, I think what's going to happen is we're going to see some buyers defend SPY. See, we have like an inverse head and shoulder structure, and we're going to see some buyers try to push it back up. I think it's going to test the 497, so we'll have to see how this reacts to this resistance at 497.8. I think we're going to test this, and we might try to break this to push higher because if we do break this, we could push towards 500 again. If we fail to break it, we're going to just continue to trade sideways in our range between the 497s and 495. I think it's more likely we kind of like push and reject and just trade sideways, approaching the FOMC minutes. Then we see a big move after the minutes come out. And then after that, we have Nvidia's earnings. So we'll see which one it ends up being, but I do believe it's very likely the market gets a temporary pump, then it trades sideways as time goes on within this range. And then we see a big move after the minutes come out, followed by Nvidia's earnings. So that's what I'm predicting. The bigger picture is, though, don't forget, either SPY is about to get a big rally starting on Thursday after Nvidia's earnings comes out for Wednesday evening, or it's about to get a big rug pull. And we'll just have to wait and see, guys. So make sure you're patient. We'll see how it goes. How about for Tesla? I think Tesla has this nice little channel that's developing, but as you can see, Tesla's on a slight downtrend. Now, could Tesla break? If it breaks out of this, we're going to be looking for 195 again, followed by this gap fill at 200. But if Tesla fails to break, it's going to reject and make its way down lower towards 188 again. As of right now, we're in this channel, we're downtrending. Tesla's looking kind of weak, so we will see if Tesla could hold this area or not. We're at resistance. I think we might pop a little bit when we open, grab liquidity, and come back down. My gut tells me it's going to pop and then drop back down depending on the news and just continue to trade sideways in this range. We need a bullish catalyst, whether it's Nvidia's earnings or some big news to come out to push Tesla back up towards 200. If we don't get that, we're going to likely continue to remain in this range. I think Tesla's going to likely do that. So I think the most likely possibility is we kind of remain in this range. Watch 192 as support, followed by 190. And if that fails us, 188 is coming, followed by 186. For resistance, watch one. We'll first watch the yellow trend line to see if we break out of this resistance right here. Then watch 195, 198, and then 200. I think that there's a good chance it might pop and drop temporarily, come back down, trade sideways, then react to the FOMC minutes. The minutes may cause Tesla to get a big rug pull into the 180s, or it may cause Tesla to push back up to 195. The minutes will be key for the first big move for tomorrow. Then Nvidia will determine if Tesla's about to fill the gap at 207, in my opinion, or not, at least for the short term. Is this about to be an inverse head and shoulders? Is Tesla about to just like come down a bit temporarily, then get a big breakout to 207 plus? Or is Tesla about to get a big rug pull and start sinking? This will also depend on Nvidia's earnings, so we'll just have to wait and see. But for now, there's a very good chance Tesla remains within this channel for the time being. So watch that very carefully. And then we'll see what happens once the minutes come out. So watch the levels carefully and see how that goes. The QQQ and Nvidia are both looking kind of weak right now, just temporarily. I think that we could see the QQQ attempt to retest 427. If that breaks, we could go a little higher, get close to 429, then reject and just trade sideways for the time being. I think that's most likely going to happen. And then we'll see what happens once we get the very, very big announcements by the Fed and also Nvidia's earnings. Nvidia's earnings will affect the QQQ and the Nasdaq a lot, especially. So make sure you're prepared for that. It's going to be very, very big. Now, I do want to call out that when you zoom out of the chart in the most simple fashion, right? Notice something that's not that good. We have this high right here, we have a lower high, we have this low here, and we have a lower low. So if you go here, there's a high, there's a low, lower high, lower low. So this is starting to downtrend in terms of market structure so far. This is starting to downtrend, could pump up a little bit again before it continues to fall. So watch this very carefully and we'll see how it goes. But I just wanted to give you guys a warning about this to be very careful. So I think tomorrow the QQQ is going to pop a little bit towards 429. 427 is going to compress in 429, trade sideways, and then we'll see if the FOMC minutes cause this thing to break out towards the 432 area, or do we get a big rug pull on the triple Q and start sinking back down towards 422? We'll have to wait and see if we get a rug pull or not, depending on the minutes. But I do think it's going to rebound just a little bit, trade sideways for a bit, and then we'll see what happens after that. For Nvidia, Nvidia is going to be a big one. Nvidia is looking a little bit weak in terms of its technicals because when you look at this, we got a nice triple top. So we got this like little cup that formed and a triple top right here and a rejection once we lost our support. And we got this nice rug pull all the way down to about 682. Now, Nvidia could attempt to rebound back towards the breakout area and make its way up, make its way up towards 700. And we'll see if this could break above that or not. So watch that very, very carefully. We'll see what Nvidia does right here. It's going to be very key. I think it might try to rebound, retest 700, then reject and just trade sideways. That's usually what happens to stocks before their earnings. It is on a slight downtrend though, so it's still looking kind of weak, technically speaking, but just know it does not matter. It does not matter what happens tomorrow. It might rebound a bit to 700 and then come back down and trade sideways, but this doesn't matter. What matters is going to be its earnings. Will their earnings be a big beat? Will they raise their guidance? Is Nvidia about to rally and end up breaking the all-time high again? Try to get back above 750. If not, 775 to 800? Or is Nvidia about to get a big rug pull and sink all the way back down to 660, if not 600 flat, if that breaks? I don't know, guys. I don't know if we're going to be approaching and breaking the all time high or if we're about to be sinking to the low 600s. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm just going to wait and see. You guys could play this if you want, but be careful when it comes to gambling. Be very careful when trading. But with that being said, Nvidia is going to be key. Don't worry so much about tomorrow. We'll just have to see what happens with earnings. And for Apple, looking kind of weak. It's been downtrending again, but notice how it's trying to hold 180. That's the level we called out. 178 to 180 is where Apple bounced every single time this year. Every year, every single time this year, not every year, but just this year. Every time it hits 178 to 180, it bounced. So we're at critical support right now. Going into tomorrow, we might just shuffle in the low 180s and just go back and forth and back and forth. I think we might push for 182.5, maybe a little higher, come back down, and just trade sideways between 180 and 182. But then we're going to be watching, does Apple ultimately, after the FOMC minutes come out and after Nvidia's earnings, do we get a big rally back up to 185 plus? Or do we get the rug pull and do we retest 178, if not lower levels? We'll just have to wait and see. I think it might pop and drop in the morning, and then FOMC minutes and other things will affect us from there. So, that being said, that is it for the main stocks I typically talk about. Let's just go over a couple more. How is SoFi looking? One thing I told you all is that SoFi was looking bullish because we had this nice accumulation structure. It could actually push for about 8.6 and then come back down. It's still holding up quite nicely. So look for a little pop tomorrow to 8.64, then a rejection. I am seeing a very, very nice inverse head and shoulders, nice accumulation. Could push a little higher, then come back down. How about ARM? ARM is looking a little bit weak right now. It's trying to fight this 200 EMA. I'm going to be looking for a retest of 120.57 to 121.8. A rejection here and then a move back down, but I do think it's going to pop and drop. We also have Rivian. Rivian right now is kind of like testing the 16 area. So 16, not looking too bad. I think it might test 16, then reject and just trade sideways. Not seeing much from this. How about Super Micro? I know a lot of people are talking about this. I think that this thing is going to attempt. Let me just double check one thing. I think it might try to rebound just a little bit, but I'm not seeing a big breakout yet. It might retest 804 again and then reject and just trade sideways for the time being. But we'll see if this thing can try to get a breakout. So I see 804 being tested. This could be attempting to form an inverse head and shoulders that's slanted. If we could get one more push to 804, could test this, come back down, and then start pushing up later. So watch and see if we end up getting the break or not. But for now, with the inverse head and shoulders forming, we'll see how well this could hold up. And we'll be very patient as time goes on. Overall, there's a good chance it may try to reverse, but we have to wait just to be safe. Now, don't forget, we have a lot of big earnings coming out, so that could also affect how this thing moves to some extent. So be patient with it, and we'll see where this thing tries to base. It's trying to base close to 700. It may attempt to reverse here, but we have to watch and see if it can break the 30 minutes 200 EMA. Can we get above 800 and 820? We'll just wait and see. For Palantir, in my opinion, is going to be testing 23.3 and eventually 23.8. I think it could pop a little bit, then reject. So watch that carefully. For the IWM, and Russell 2000, this looks to me like it's going to test 199.73. We called 198 yesterday. And we actually got that level. So watch 199.73 to be retested. And it might just trade sideways until the FOMC minutes. We'll see what that causes. For Microsoft, now Microsoft is attempting to rebound, could test 402 again, maybe a little higher than reject. But I do want to call out that I'm not sure if the full measured move is done yet, because when you look at the 4-hour time frame, this does give us a warning that there might be more downside, because we have a head and shoulders that ends at around 395. So it might pop to about 402 and make its way down to 395 again. So be a little bit careful. But if we start holding up nicely and this starts turning here on the PPO, we could see a rebound. It could actually fail to get all the way down to 395 and bounce. So I'll just wait and see. We'll see how well it holds for the time being. If it fails to get that rebound, then 395 is coming. If it rebounds, then watch it try to break above 403 and start pushing higher. For AMD, in my opinion, it looks to me like it's looking kind of bearish. It might test 160.98 soon. If that fails us, I think it's going to be testing 158. So it looks a little bit weak. This does favor the bears a little bit more, so just be careful. For just a couple more, the VIX is attempting to get a break above its 50 daily moving average. But don't forget the last time it hit 18 and came back down, so there's no official breakout yet that can be sustainable. It also has a big gap to fill in the 4-hour time frame. So we will see if this thing gets a rug pull or not. Just be patient with the VIX. I'm going to wait and see. So I'm not going to make a call. I'm not saying it's going to explode. I'm not saying it's going to crash. I have to see what happens after Nvidia's earnings before I make a claim. So we just have to wait and see. There's nothing else I can really say about it. For the dollar index, it's the same thing. Will this thing get a bounce and start breaking above the 104s and start pushing, or does this thing come back down? Nvidia will determine that, at least for the time being. Let's go over just a couple more for Coinbase. For Coinbase, let me actually switch over. It's looking a little bit weak right now, but you could see it's kind of sandwiched between these EMAs. So watch 174 as resistance. If we do break this, I could see this imbalance actually attracted towards 180. If we reject here, we're going to be coming back down to about 164. My gut tells me it might attempt to try to push above 174 to get to 180. So we'll see if it could break or not. So just be very patient. For Google, this is attempting to bounce finally after hitting 140. We're going to be watching to see if this could actually push towards 143 and eventually 144.4. It might rebound just a little bit. It is kind of trading sideways, but I could see it try to push a little higher as this is looking like it's showing signs of a little rebound. For Amazon is kind of fighting right now. I am concerned about one thing though. When you look at the 4-hour time frame on Amazon, we have a possible left shoulder here ahead and maybe a right shoulder forming. We are above the 20 EMA, so we showed some life during the after hours. If we could hold above 169, we have to try to hold above that. We have the potential to push all the way back up to about 172. If we fail to hold, if we reject off 169, we're going to be coming back down towards this imbalance at 167. So we'll see how it goes. This is a head and shoulders like structure, but there's no sign of it breaking down yet. And we're back above one of our key EMAs. So Amazon showing some life. I am concerned about this head and shoulders. Still keep this in the back of your mind. If it does start breaking down, watch it come all the way down to 160. If we end up losing this low right here at 165. For Meta, in my opinion, we're going to be watching resistance at 472.24. If we break this, I think it's going to be coming up towards 470, around 478. If we fail to break this, we're going to be coming down to 463. So a big test is coming tomorrow. So we'll see ultimately by the end of the day, do we break the 20 EMA at 472? If it achieves that, it's going to be bouncing. If it fails to do so, it's going to reject. So we will just wait and see. Now, the reason why I'm saying that I know it's kind of boring is because the chart is not everything. There are two big things affecting the whole markets, so we just have to wait and see. We'll see what happens with the FOMC minutes, and we'll see what happens after Nvidia's earnings. But just know the market looks like it might try to rebound just a little bit, then trade sideways approaching the FOMC minutes, and then big moves are going to be coming. Do not listen to people on YouTube who are saying the market's going to explode, it's going to crash. No one knows. Okay, we don't truly know right now. Solely saying anything or making claims based off just technicals is not sufficient. We need to know more about Nvidia's earnings and such. And that's the reason why I'm one of those people that's telling you, hey, the charts are showing this right now, but wait and see after the data comes out. Just be patient and we'll know which way the market's going to go. Okay, I hope that's as clear as possible. I hope this video was helpful. Have a great day, guys. Remain calm, cool, and collected. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for listening. Have a great day and peace out.